So this is going to be my speculations about the failure of Ferrero orchards. Ferrero governed orchards which have decided that it was not viable. So let's quickly read it. So they said, given recent adverse weather conditions, the pilot study found that the region's climate in the long term is not conducive to hazelnut farming. So what does this mean? I was thinking about it for quite some time, and in the recent lesson I took the plant systematics. I took it last year, and I tried to hypothesize about the why this project failed in Australia. And since my lesson was plant systematics, I decided that could it be related that these plant systematics or the taxonomy can be related with the how tree species can be grown in different conditions. So in Australia, there is no natural ecosystem for hazelnuts, so they have decided that it could be viable and have planted some practice orchards, and they have found out that in 10 years, 10-year project of hazelnuts, they saw that their expectations was not met and unfortunately no longer commercially viable. So, and as you can see in the screen, that the orchards are tree style. So in Turkey or in the Black Sea region, we have the ocak system, which is this type of here you can see the suckers on the below are like cut every year, and you kind of maintain the ocak or like the cluster of branches in like 6, 7, 8. It depends on which cultivar you have. This is the ocak system, and in Australia, the tree system was practiced. So let's keep that in mind. And according to my speculations, I thought about that. Okay, what's the natural tree ecosystem for Black Sea region and the Australia region, right? So I reached out to some of my friends. One of my friends is from Ordu, and he told me that they have gürgen, which is a Turkish word for the tree, but it is I think it's called hornbeam, and it is taxonomy is Carpinus. So in here, slide, I can show that Carpinus spp, or like the Betelgeuse family, and Corylus avellana, the Latin name for the European hazelnut, and they belong to the same family, and they are very closely related in this chloroplast genome was utilized in Betelgeuse family. So this is also another information you gotta keep in mind to create some hypothesis, right? So we established that ocak system is prominent in the Black Sea region, while Australia has the tree system, and we have the natural forestry ecosystem as Carpinus, which is very related to Corylus family, which is the European hazelnut. So I also asked around my family, so let's give the Turkish map in here actually. So I'm from here, this region. I know this region very well, the Sakarya region, right there. And this is the Kocaeli region right there, and it's close to Düzce region. And two production sites are important for eastern, western hazelnuts orchards. They're mainly on Sakarya Düzce, and in Zonguldak they have some Corus colorna species. It's called tree-style Turkish hazelnut tree or something. They're not clusters like Avellana species, Corylus avellana. So in Kocaeli region, according to my observations, in also my orchards, we have the Carpinus species in old forestry or like the untouched forestry. Gürgen or the Carpinus species are very prominent. So I also asked around like to get some more traditional information about what was the forestry before these corylus species or like the cultivars were planted. So I also learned that the populus species, which is belong to Salicae, I think, and Castanea, which is the Fagacea family. So I learned that these families were existing in here, but the most dominant was Carpinus species. One I showed in here, these species, they are hornbeam trees, and this is the current Avellan species we have. So in Sakarya region, we have like that. I also asked my friend from Giresun, my close friend, and he also told me that Gürgen trees, Gürgen in Turkish, hornbeam in English, Carpinus species were also prominent. I also again asked from my friend in Ordu, from Fatsa. He also told me that yes, we have Gürgen bronze, so we have the Carpinus species as well. So I've established like very traditional, very easily that we have like in three main regions of production, Sakarya, Düzce, Ordu, Giresun. We have Gürgen abundancy in natural ecosystem. So I also thought about what did the Australian regions have? I also did a bit of research, but unfortunately I don't have many Australian friends, so I couldn't just call them and ask them about what kind of trees you have. And so according to my research, the orchard establishments of Australia was in the 70s, so in the Victoria region, and they expanded to Narrandera and New South Wales regions, and they have the arid climates, or like the natural flora is related with arid species, and Black Sea region is very humid and very like receives a lot of rainfall. The soil is generally loamy and so on. So it's perfect for these kind of species, right? Carpinus, Corylus. You have the natural biosystem or like the ecosystem for these species. But yeah, they have the acacia trees or like eucalyptus, these exotic trees or like the arid trees. And I also compared this. So we have this in our minds as well. Australia did not have the prey ecosystem. So, so to the testing or like the antithesis to prove and present an antithesis to this hypothesis that, yeah, we can say that potato was evolved or like the main native to the America, but in neither in like the very dry conditions or like the very different ecosystem it is grown as well in Turkey. But I also come up with um, that these antithesis is potato species, annual species. It's a vegetative species. But these hazelnut trees are actually like perennial species. They're like tree. They live for more than 10 years, I guess, if they're grafted, or like 40 years or something. So you can't just say that, okay, I thought about myself, okay, they grow potato, but potato was originating from the American region, but they are vegetative. They live for 1 year, get the tubers, and that's all over. But in tree species, you have something different. These three species gotta adapt for long term, like long time, like long period of time. So I presented this thought, and I also kind of uh, tried to validatize it. So that's all I wanted to share. I think the failure of where is it here? Failure of the hazelnuts expansion into the Australia, main reason for failure. I don't know the main reason, but maybe the smaller reason is that taxonomically, hazelnut trees are adapted, and they are very, they're not genetically improved. They are just they're still in their development phase in terms of, you know, genomic improvements and breeding. Hazelnut is still a very uh, left out species, I can say. But since there are three species, they are difficult to breed as well. So you can keep that in mind as well. If this species was breeded to an extent to like tolerate the arid climate of the Australia, yeah, maybe you could have extended. But since this is a species with a very heterozygous nature, like all of these hazelnut cultivars, they're kind of varieties. When I say cultivars, they're really lacking and they're really heterozygous. So you have a lot of unexpected things as well. Uh, Against the drought conditions, your trees are not very well adapted in terms of biotechnologically. You haven't improved them. So you got to think about tradition, right? And I think traditionally, okay, these three species are not very well breeded. So what I got to look and plant systematically, Black Sea region has the perfect ecosystem. You have the Carpinus species, which is very, very closely relative of the Corylus species, Carpinus species. And maybe that's why Turkish hazelnuts has been very well adapted, very well established industry of hazelnuts for more than 100 years. Maybe this is the reason. Maybe ecosystem is very viable for hazelnut production since the similar species was grown here, naturally evolved in here. So yeah, this is my opinion on failure of the Australian orchards.